Ron, you ready to talk about the next big thing?
Do we have to talk about the presidential election?
Absolutely not. We are staying away from the presidential election.
Well, then,
we're talking about agriculture.
Well, hopefully you're talking about Asgrow branded seed and the new technology Xtendflex.
Absolutely.
Good.
That's a big thing for sure.
Good. So Josh, tell us a little bit about the Xtendflex technology.
So the Xtendflex system is going to give you true flexibility of herbicide applications. We've got a 3-way herbicide stack: glufosinate, Roundup, and dicamba. And like I said, that's going to give you the flexibility to be able to make a herbicide application like you need to control these hard to control weeds, whether you're near a specialty crop like sweet potatoes or tobacco out my way, or you're in some smaller fields out your way and in some of these areas around the Piedmont. Flexibility
is going to be important and a big advantage, I think, Josh. Actually, Jim Kaiser and I spent some time in the Piedmont recently looking at one of our Xtendflex Asgrow soybean plots. So why don't we jump out in the field, and Jim and I will tell you a little bit more about some of the early maturing varieties.
Let's go check it out.
Jim, our team has a lot of interest in some early group soybeans, and 4s definitely have their place. So tell us a little bit about this 45 XFO.
Yeah, 45 XFO is a mid-group 4. It is, of course, an indeterminate soybean type. It is light brown in color, and it's got a very good yield potential. It's a tall plant with a bushy type canopy.
Good information. Now, where does it fit? When we're talking to a farmer, are we going to tell him to put it on his best ground, his tough ground? Where's it fit?
That's a really good question, and it's a very important question. Yeah. This one's got versatility, Ron.
Good.
It can cover a broad acre. High yield potential, but it can go in a lot of space, this one can. So in addition to that, it's got some cyst nematode resistance as well. And sometimes phytophthora can be a problem. It's got really good phytophthora root rot resistance too. So.
Well, is there anything that you got to watch out for on this particular variety?
There is a couple watch outs, if you will. This one can get a little bit big on us. It can get a little bit leggy. So if you don't like that one, this one may not be the one for you. Another one is it's a 6 on our sudden death syndrome scale. So if you have a history of that, it's a soil-borne problem. If you got a history of that, it could be a watch out for you. You may want to look at another variety, or at least use the Levo seed treatments, which really help with sudden death come springtime.
Well, high yield potential, versatility, and it's a tawny or a light brown bean.
Yes, sir.
Good things about 45 XFO.
And we're excited about this one. Take a look at it. And this one, Ron, has very high yield potential. It's brown in color. It is a big, tall bean, as you can see behind me here as well.
Well, you mentioned, I like the brown part.
Yep.
Now, tall, what about standability? She's going to stay with us.
I'm not worried about this one. It's got good standability, so we're going to be okay with this one. But it is going to be a big boy, though, for sure.
Right.
If nematodes are a problem for you, this one does have some good resistance to cyst nematode, as well as phytophthora root rot as well. Definitely want to better position this one on our better soils. Again, it's definitely has a high yield potential and needs to be positioned appropriately.
Well, good deal. 47 XFO, Jim, sounds like a very promising bean. The high yield potential, tall but good standability, and brown bean. A lot of folks are going to like that. But I think one of the best things you said is where to position it, and that's kind of average to your very best soybean grain. So, is this 48 XFO going to stand up and hang with the big boys like 48X9?
It's got some big shoes to fill, Ron. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't mind telling you, 48X9 is one of my favorite soybeans, but I think it will.
Good.
This one could replace it nicely as far as I'm concerned at this point. It's new to us. We're going to study it, but it's got some really good characteristics. It's a beautiful soybean. It's a 4.8 maturity, like Ron said. It's a medium tall plant type. It's light brown in color, and it is probably the most versatile product in the 4s in the new class that we've got here. Man, it can cover a broad acre just like the 48X9 can.
Good deal. Sounds like it's kind of got everything that you want. I really think we need to take a closer look at this thing.
very nicely potted up early from top to bottom. Nice plant type, good coloration. I think we got something here, Ron. Okay guys, this one is 54 XFO. It's a mid group 5. It's an indeterminate group 5, a 5.4 indeterminate with very, very good yield potential. It's light brown in color. It's a medium tall plant in height, and it really does have a strong agronomics trait set. Phytophthora root rot is a very strong standout. We talked a little bit about sudden death in the past on some. This one has very good resistance to sudden death. If that's a problem in the history of some of your fields, it'll be a really good fit for it. But again, Ron, the main thing with this one is it really does need to be positioned on those better soil types. This is more of an offensive type soil.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. You know, we've got more to talk about, but we've already introduced quite a few of our new germplasms and new beans coming this year. So I want to take just a quick moment and remind everybody that don't worry about trying to remember all this stuff. You can find all the agronomic details, attributes, and ratings on various agronomic characteristics in our 2021 seed book guide for the Carolinas and Southeast Virginia. So call your local field sales rep, your local dealer, and be sure you get one of these to reference all the materials you've seen here and in all of our other crops. Jim, we're about to do something different. Up till now, everything we've talked about, all the new beans you've shared with the folks, have been indeterminate. This is the first bean that we're introducing that is a determinate growth characteristic.
With that, this one's determined, like Ron said. This is 55 XFO. It does have outstanding yield potential, but this one has tremendous versatility. It can be adapted to a lot of different soil types and yield environments. It's a medium tall soybean plant. As you can see behind me, it's a beautiful plant. When it grows up one day, it's going to be dark brown, Ron, and it's a true bush type canopy that I'm very fond of.
Good deal. Hey, a bushy canopy is going to help on weed control, number one, and a lot of folks in the Carolinas are going to like that brown characteristic of being a bean. But Jim, a couple other things come to mind. Disease, nematodes, what do we need to know about it on that aspect?
Very strong as well, very strong. This one has good resistance to multiple races of cyst nematode as well as root knot nematode. On the disease side, you know, frog eye leaf spot is our predominant soybean disease here in the Carolinas. But we sometimes we see a lot of it, sometimes we don't. But this one has outstanding tolerance to frog eye leaf spot, outstanding resistance to it. So, as well as Phytophthora root rot, which sometimes isn't as much of a problem, but can be in those wet conditions early in the season. So, but overall, a strong agronomic package with a very versatile product.
Well, mid-5 is always a solid performer for the Carolinas, and it being a solid performer, like you say, a brown bean, and one of the best with frog eye leaf spot tolerance, I think it's going to be a great bean for the Carolinas, the Asgrow 55 XFO.
Yeah, see, look at the branching, Ron. You talk about a bush type canopy.
Yep.
That is a pretty good looking soybean plant right there, folks.
Absolutely.
55 XFO, we're excited about it. We'll be more to come on this one, folks.
Hi, I'm Zach Webb, technical agronomist for the Coastal Plains of North Carolina. And I'm out here today with Malone Roseman, our local technical development rep who covers the Carolinas and Southeast Virginia. Malone, can you give us some good soybean recommendations tied to our Bayer Plus Rewards program?
Sure, Zach. We have Warrant and Roundup as a pre-emergent herbicide application. And you follow that up with another Roundup application later in the season. To maintain that plant health, have an over-the-top application of Certigo YLD later in the season at early flowering will bring you about $10 back to you with the Bayer Plus Rewards program.
Sounds great, Malone. Again, reach out to your local FSR for more information about the Bayer Plus Rewards program.
Well, Josh, that carries us from those mid-4s to kind of the later 5 groups, what I'd call the most important beans that we need to look at today. So we can kind of wrap this up, right?
Oh, hold on, Ron. We ain't even looked at the late 5s all the way through the early 7s. We got to go out east. Zach and I got a little bit to show you out there of what I would think is more important.
Well, let's go see what you and Zach talk about.
Let's go.
So when you think about Asgrow soybeans, the one thing we do want to remind you of is that Asgrow soybeans are 100% exclusive genetics. You won't find these genetics in any other bag anywhere in the industry. We've been testing the Xtendflex lineup now for several years leading up to this tremendous launch that we're going to have in 2021, and we're really excited to tell you about some of these products that we're going to have. First of all, we're going to start off talking about the 69XO. That is the only Xtend late 6 soybean Xtend genetics that we'll have going into 2021. Zach, tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, you know, Josh, we're making a strong move to Xtendflex, but we've got a really good variety in Asgrow 69XO. We saw it for a couple of years now. Last year, got it on the farm in a lot of places. It's planted a lot this year. We've seen just absolutely phenomenal performance out of this soybean variety. Pretty versatile, has outstanding top end yield, pretty good stress tolerance as well. So it's a pretty versatile bean which fits our coastal plain soils of the Carolinas and Southeast Virginia really well. That maturity especially fits that southeastern quadrant of North Carolina and then in South Carolina. That's a really good choice for our growers that want to plant an Xtend bean.
Especially those growers that are looking to do a double crop bean, maybe behind some wheat or rye they get picked. 69XO is a really good choice for that ground as well.
That's right.
So we're going to start here today talking about the 57XF1. Tell us a little bit about what you got here.
You know, Josh, this soybean variety is pretty much an anomaly. It's something that we typically don't seem to see in the soybean business. It's a 5.7 maturity, but it's indeterminate. And that brings a lot of things to the table for us, especially here in the coastal plains. We're seeing a push toward the group 5s, and I think our growers are really going to like this 5.7 with the indeterminate. You can see already here a lot of bloom starting out very low on this plant, a very large stalk, good standability in this variety. It's going to be a brown variety. I know we all want to have that tawny coloration to our pubescence. So really excited about it in that it's going to bring some really good stress tolerance for our coastal plain soils. But at the same time, we can see this thing as having some really good top end yield potential. We really see this thing as being a big player for us here in that late group 5 maturity here in the Carolinas.
Absolutely, it's been a huge push in the last couple of years. A lot of guys asking about an indeterminate bean, and you know, most of those indeterminate beans are coming in an early group 5. Here we have it in a 5.7 maturity. Just really excited about this.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed, this thing is flowering on the first true node. So you're really starting at the very bottom. It's going all the way to the top, catching every node. So pretty impressive.
All right, so moving on from the 57XF1, we're going to move on to talk about a 59XFO. As you can see, if these things side by side, the 57 is already flowering. The 59 is not quite there yet, but still a really exciting bean to add to our lineup. Zach, tell us a little bit about the 59s.
Yeah, you made a good point there, Josh. You see the 59 only a few days later than the 57, but here again, a determinate plant versus an indeterminate plant, not quite flowering yet. Again, a tawny pubescence on this bean. Really excited about it. That late group 5 almost swings over to an early 6 if you want to. And that maturity range has got really good top end yield potential. Really excited about this one in that late 5, early 6 market. Gonna have a really good yield potential here with this bean.
All right, Zach, so moving across the Xtendflex plot, we've gone from a 59XFO now to a 69XFO, and really excited about this here for the Carolinas. I know a lot of guys, you know, there is a transition back over to that early 5, but here in eastern North Carolina specifically, we've still got a lot of double crop beans. These guys like a late group 6, early group 7 bean, and that's going to be the next two that we're going to talk about here in the lineup. So tell us a little bit about the 69XFO.
Yeah, Josh, you know, we talked about 59XFO having that high yield or a little bit shorter plant type and that likes that good dirt. 69XFO is going to be a much more versatile bean in a later maturity. Again, another tawny pubescence, which is pretty important to us guys over here in the Carolinas. But it'll be a little taller bean. Like I said, a lot more versatile. It's going to go on some of those medium to tougher type grounds, but at the same time, it's got really good top end yield potential. I can see this bean being a huge player for us over the next few years here in the Carolinas. Really like what we're seeing out of it. It also brings some race 3 nematode resistance. It's got root knot nematode resistance, And it's pretty good rating on frog eye as well. And frog eye's a pretty good deal, big deal for us over here as well. We can have years where frog eye can just knock us in the head.
Yep.
And this one has pretty good resistance to frog eye as well.
Yep. So while we're here on this maturity, this 69 XFO, you know, for years we'll go all the way back to 69 X6, back in the class of 16 for the soybeans. Last year we rolled out 69 XO. Can you compare? You know, those guys really know those Group 6.9s. Compare what we've got there to here, if you would.
Yeah. Even though the genetic linkage to the germplasm, Josh, there's a lot of phenotypical similarities. I really like how both of them, 69 XO and 69 XFO, look very similar to me in the field, especially at this stage. They're both going to be pretty tall plants. They're both going to be brown, and they both got a pretty versatile fit. Both of them will do really well topping in, and they both fit that tough acre as well. So I think with 69O and 69 XFO, there are a lot of similarities there that if you're growing 69O, you plant 69 XFO, you're not going to be able to really walk out there and tell a lot of difference in those two. The biggest difference will be the technology.
So Zach, we're moving across this plot again. We've changed one last time from the 69 XFO. Now we're looking at the 72 XFO. I know, you know, a lot of the guys are looking when they get real late with that double crop bean, maybe looking at early Group 7. Talk to us a little bit about what we've got here with the 69 and now with this 72 that you're holding.
Yeah, 72 is going to be a great companion for 69, especially as we move south and in some of those double crop situations. 72 is going to be a really good fit there. It's got some similar things in its trait package. It's got really good root knot and nematode resistance, as well as good tolerance to frog eye. So a pretty good trait package there. Agronomically, it's going to have good standability. It's going to be a medium kind of taller type plant, very similar to what we've seen in 69 XFO. So here again, just going to be a great companion and another one to look at. You know, if you're planting a 69, you're probably planting a 72. So why not take a look at both of them?
So guys, as we move from the Xtend soybeans into this Xtendflex year going into 2021, we want you to have confidence in what we're bringing to market. We've been testing these genetics for years now. We know the system works. It works in Delta pine cotton, so the herbicide system will work. The genetics, 100% exclusivity to Asgrow soybeans. You can trust what we're bringing to market. We've tested it. We're testing it again this year. We're going to have some really good information to bring back in this fall when harvest starts rolling in. So looking forward to 2021 and rolling out the Xtendflex soybeans.
And Josh, you know, one thing in closing, it seems like when we launch a new technology, a lot of times we're dependent upon data from other parts of the U.S. and maybe not right here in our backyard. Well, these Xtendflex lines, we've got them in our backyard this year. Right here in the Carolinas, we've got stewarded test plots of these things on farm, large plot test plots, and we're going to be getting localized data, yield data for our growers to evaluate these things. We're going to evaluate them. Our growers can evaluate them to see what's going to be the best fit for our growers here in the Coastal Plains.
Absolutely. If you've made it this far through the video, we appreciate you guys watching. As usual, if you like what you saw, share the video on both YouTube and Facebook, and leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Thanks for joining us today in the Virtual Field Day.